Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll be doing a review of the Campeon lace-up boxing gloves. So stay tuned.
Uber up the styles like miles and shit. Like 60s funky worms with waves and perms. Just sending junky rhythms right.
Alright guys, so let's do a close-up of these Campeon lace-up boxing gloves. These are 14 ounces. You can see the label on there that's stitched on. The red stitching. This is a patent leather style glove. It has a really nice shine to it. Obviously made in Mexico. Let me flip these over and give you a close-up of the gloves. You can see the stitching on here isn't the best. Look at the thumb, where the attached thumb meets the inner part of the fingertip there. But full leather construction, made in Mexico. Now, the one thing I wanted to show you was stuck out to me when I first received these gloves, and I'll let you guys kind of look at it from right here and give you guys a few seconds. If you guys probably recognize it already, but this left glove was cut way off. Look at the material, how it slants right here. It should be nice and straight, but it's like they went off track with it and just stitched it in like that. Anyhow, you can actually see the double stitching, and instead of it going straight up and making it nice and symmetrical, you can see that the stitching actually kind of goes into the thumb piping, where this one still does it a little bit, but not as bad as this one. So for them to not even see that or correct that is a big red flag. Because of that, you can actually see even the back of the glove is kind of torqued or kind of twisted in a way. And I don't know if that's caused because of that leather. Maybe it's unrelated, but you can see it's kind of crooked. It's almost like the glove is cocked in a weird way, where this one doesn't have that issue. You can see this one is a little bit more straight and flatter, so the actual dimensions of the glove look good. Where this left one, you can see has kind of that sloped, cocked look to it, if it's the best way to describe it. And then obviously the wrist right there is pretty off as far as the cut goes. So definitely some quality issues there. Now these are a 14-ounce glove. Let's see how much they weigh. Put them on the scale. So we'll go ahead and do the left glove first. So these are 14.6, and the right glove is 14.6. So weight-wise, they're both the same weight, which is good to see. A little bit overweight, not by much, by about half an ounce, which is good to see for Mexican gloves, typically Mexican style gloves, tend to run really heavy, like several ounces over their advertised weight. So it's good to see that they're almost on weight. Just the main issue here is the craftsmanship. So on to the review. What's up guys, Carlo here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of these Campeon 14-ounce lace-up boxing gloves. I got mine in this burgundy and off-white color schemes, also known as bone colored. And you can see that these are a traditional Mexican style puncher's boxing glove. Campeon is a company based out of Mexico that was founded back in 1980 by Melesio Alvarez, and like a lot of the smaller boutique companies, they're not as widely marketed or commercially sold like Cleto Reyes is, so they're very similar to companies like Zeppol, which is known as Gill, New Sporting, Casanova, which is now Nicali. So they're made in smaller batches, handmade. They're not made commercially produced, so you don't get a lot of these gloves out there. One, in a certain kind of color, and a lot of times they're just custom built. So just depending on the color you get, the style you get, you might only have the only pair that currently they have out, just because they don't come out with too many of these gloves. Now, as far as finding these gloves, I got mine through an independent retailer on Instagram, Mexican Boxing Gloves, and I believe Box Up Nation as well sells Campeon brand. And outside of that, you might have to go through eBay, or you might have to find an independent seller that actually sells these gloves. They're a little bit harder to find, but Mexican Boxing Gloves, he's based out of Spain, so they're an international retailer in that regard. But first off, you can see the actual design of the glove is very similar to a lot of Mexican style glove, where you have a slimmer cuff with a wider tapered hand compartment profile with a flat latex foam on the inside that kind of rolls over to the front. And it's very similar to a lot of Mexican style gloves. I would probably say these are very similar to Casanovas, but a little bit slimmer than the Casanovas. So it's almost like a slimmed down version of the Casanova gloves. This particular glove actually comes with almost like a patent style leather material. It's almost like they put a coating over the leather hide to kind of give it that nice shine that you see there. The only design that you have on here that really indicates that it's a Campeon product is going to be this plastic tag on the back of the wrist right here. And you can see that the actual Campeon label is upside down. Well, I guess you could say it's upside down depending on how you look at the glove. But if you're looking at it traditionally, if you're looking at it and you're wearing the gloves and you're looking down at it, you would see it like this, where it's upside down. So that's how you would know it's an authentic Campeon product, is the fact that the tag is placed on where it's rotated to face down. So you can see that there. You have the stitching that goes through it. It says made in Mexico, Del Piel, made in Mexico, Mag Professional Campeon. So you have that. One thing I noticed about this tag, I wish they would have rolled the edges a little bit better and made it a little bit softer, because you can see here this will definitely cut somebody open. So if you ever to use these gloves for sparring, definitely want to tape that over so you don't cut your sparring partner. You can see the burgundy color looks really nice. You do have a bronze colored piping that goes around the cuff. You do have a split thumb, a split palm, a grip bar, and no ventilated holes. So this glove tends to get pretty hot on the inside because of the lack of ventilation and the kind of material that's used on the inside liner. But outside of that label, you can see it has a really traditional look to it. The glove itself isn't very long. I'd say it has a medium-sized length, and the width is a little bit more on the compact side. So you can see there, and it does have a pretty deep finger compartment. So just kind of give you guys an overall look of the profile of the glove. Now the quality of glove is probably the area that lacks the most on this glove, and the reason I say that, and which I showed you guys earlier in the close-up video, is I feel like they didn't do very good quality assurance on this glove and didn't really look it through. I feel that the leather on this left glove, you can see there, I have the right over here. I have this thing hanging off my neck just to show you guys. You can see the right side right here is really symmetrical, the way they split the leather down the middle right here. And even then you can kind of see the stitching going off into this piping right here on the right side. But when you look at this left side, you can see that it's kind of crooked. They have it kind of cocked, so that you have more leather at the bottom here, and then it kind of tapers inwards. And then you can actually see this stitching rolls right into that seam where this should be over straight. So you can see it kind of curves upwards. And I looked at some other photos of some other Campeon gloves, and I noticed that they did that on a few of their gloves. So I'm not sure if that's just something they do with their gloves, but to me, this should be straight. So the fact that that's kind of rolled over, and then the material here is a lot wider at the bottom and then narrow at the top, makes it look pretty crooked. And then the actual glove itself, you can see that the foam is a little tweaked right there. The way that the foam sits, that starts right at the cuff and the wrist area where it rolls up to the front of the glove. You can see it's a little bit tweaked. And compared to the right side, which is nice and flat. So you can see the difference there as far as the foam and how it is placed inside the leather. It has a little bit of a tweak to it to the left side. And then the stitching itself, they use a red stitching on here, but you can see areas right here on this thumb where the stitching is kind of pulling through the leather, as well as where the thumb and the attached thumb meets the inner part of the index finger. You know, the leather is rolled nicely on the fingertips, but again, you can just kind of see where it's really pulling through the leather on there. You can see some areas right here on the palm side, on the corner of the outside part of the hand, where the stitching could have been improved. So I feel that there's definitely some opportunity with the stitching. And there's also a mark right here on the fingertip that I couldn't get off, and it's maybe from the coating that they put on this leather that got stained in there. So it was hard for me to remove that. And I don't really want to scrape more into that because it'll damage the leather hide, but it's just little details like that with the stitching, that, and as well as how this leather strip right here is crooked is definitely an issue right there. And then lastly, this tag on the back, you can see that that's pretty sharp right there, and you can definitely cut somebody open. You do have some of those same issues here with the stitching on this right side glove, where they could have improved the stitching, especially on the thumb. Again, you can see it's kind of pulling through on the leather right there, so just some stress points. But the left side glove for sure needs a little bit of attention to detail to be improved on that. So quality is okay, definitely not the best. You know, compared to like Cleto Reyes, Reyes is to me far and above better than these in terms of quality. So comfort of the gloves, when you slide your hand in here, my first initial feeling of this glove, and even after I use them, is they're more compact than Casanova and a little bit more compact than Reyes as well. I feel like I have really good wrist support. You have about a 1/2 inch layer of padding on both sides of your wrist all the way up to the mid part of your hand right here. So they did a nice job of filling this in to give you that extra support and make it nice and snug when you tie these off. You do have some decently length laces right here, so that way you can go over twice around your wrist to give you that locked in feel. And the part that I showed you earlier with this leather strip right here, even on both gloves, it doesn't feel like it affects the performance of the glove whatsoever. I mean, my hand placement is still good. It's just more of the aesthetics. The thumb placement in here is actually better than Casanova, and I'd say maybe about the same as Reyes. The only issue I had is they use a lot of padding on the back of the thumb, and because of that, you feel like the tip of your thumb gets pinched down on. So that's just gonna prolong the actual break-in period of the glove because of how much foam is in here. So you'll probably end up going through a stage of discomfort when you're using these on the bag or whatever training you're doing, because your thumb just has to continue to break that in. So between you sweating and hitting the bag, eventually that will break in, but just know that it's pretty tight in there. And the same thing goes for this fingertip. Now the finger compartment's really nice. I like how deep it is so that your hand's already in a position to make a fist. And the grip bar is in a nice spot. They use another a layer of leather. It's almost like a rolled leather that they use here that they cover with a piece of the liner. The only problem is it doesn't give you a lot of room in this fingertip area. So right on the inside right here, you feel again like your fingertips are getting pinched down on. And I feel if they were just to kind of reduce the size of that, it enhanced the comfort of the glove, and you don't feel that discomfort where your fingers get numb over a period of time. The other thing you want to note is that this hand compartment, like a lot of traditional Mexican style gloves, they don't use a softer liner that they put on the inside. So the same latex foam they use on the exterior or the punching and impact surface is pretty much the same latex foam that sits against your hand on the inside of the glove. And because of that, it doesn't really feel very form-fitting. Like a lot of the higher end gloves, like the Flies or the Winnings, or even the rivals that you get, they use a multi-layer foam, but the foam that backs up against your hand on the inside of the glove makes it feel like a pillow because it wraps around your hand and it forms to the actual curvature of your fist. With these, that same latex foam is on the inside, and the liner is kind of rough because of the way they glue the liner to the actual latex foam. And because of that, you have this little pocket of room between your knuckles and the inside of this glove compartment. So over time of you having your wraps on and hitting the bag, that will definitely form, but it just takes, again, a longer period of time of breaking in, and there's that initial discomfort. So again, I mean, those are things some people don't mind, some people just hate that. They really don't want to go through a break-in period. They want to, slip on some gloves. Excuse me. They want to slip on some gloves and, go to work right away and not have to worry about a break-in period. One thing to note as well is the break-in period of gloves. You can see that the leather initially is very stiff at first. Even with me working with these for a couple weeks now, they're still pretty stiff. So being able to open your hand very wide is pretty hard to do. And you're going to have to really break these in order to get that flexibility from the leather and from the latex. The balance of the gloves is really nice. It feels like you do have a good weight distribution throughout the entire glove. It's not super top heavy. And the fact that they use the padding on the wrist here to really balance things out is really nice. So I do like the weight distribution of the glove. Performance of the glove is definitely a puncher style glove. You can see that the actual foam itself on the knuckle area is medium to soft density. So do keep that in mind if you are looking for a puncher's gloves. This definitely will suit your need. It's a great feedback glove, so when you're hitting the bag, you can feel every single shot and it really pops. But if you're looking for something that offers a lot of protection, then these definitely won't be in that realm. And not to say that you couldn't get them, but if you do have hand injuries or issues with your with your wrist or whatnot, and you want something that absorbs the shock a little better, you might have to use some like winning knuckle guards or some kind of gel knuckle guard in order to give you an extra layer of protection with these gloves because of how soft the density of the latex foam in these gloves are. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, man. If you guys have any comments or questions, man, make sure to leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Campeon gloves. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.